Hello, my name is Dr. Randall Kolar. I'm the director of the School of Civil Engineering and Environmental Science at the University of Oklahoma. I have been at OU as a faculty member for over 25 years now, and I've been director of the department for the last 7 years. Civil engineering is a broad field, and I specialized in a subset of that area called water resources engineering. So my focus has been on water supply, water availability, and the control of water in the form of flood control projects or reservoirs to help supply water if there's a shortage, those type of issues with the water resources. To illustrate the importance of our majors to society, I'd like to start with this collage of pictures that demonstrate or illustrate the infrastructure and environmental issues that our majors work on when they graduate from our program. So a lot of things we take for granted that really require a tremendous investment of money and time and expertise to make happen. A typical faucet, you turn the water on in the morning or in the evening, and you expect the water to be there and it's potable. You don't even think about all the machinery that has to happen and all the infrastructure that makes that work. Similarly, when the water is used, it goes down the drain and you never think twice about it, and it's not an issue, it's not an aesthetic problem, etc. It hasn't always been this way. So we've worked very hard in our discipline to provide a level of service to society that we can have the quality of life that we come to expect. And that ranges to the very comfortable housing that we take for granted and live in and wake up to that's air conditioned, where if we want to get somewhere, we have this tremendously complex and expensive transportation system to get us from A to B. It transports more people than it was ever designed for and is still functioning properly. And so we have to rely on this in order to have the quality of life that we come to expect. But we want to do this in balance with the environment, and we've put a lot of effort into making sure that our development, our building of cities and infrastructure does not totally degrade the environment so we can enjoy the outdoors and have pristine waters where fishery and ecosystems still thrive. Parts of the globe still see problems today that manifest themselves when you have a lack of investment in infrastructure or the lack of expertise, or both. Instead of comfortable housing, you have makeshift shelters. Instead of a water distribution system and a sanitation system, you see somebody having to walk maybe miles to carry buckets of water on their back to their residence, and it may not even be potable water. It may be contaminated, but it's all they have. Transportation, instead of a very efficient, reliable system that uses automobiles and trains and airplanes, most of it is foot traffic and on unimproved paths that can get very nasty to walk in stormwater situation because we don't have the drainage system to drain water off like we do in the United States. And then in the environment, if we're not careful, water quality can degrade, it destroys the ecosystem, or even worse yet, you get a situation like the little inset picture where you have no water at all. So our graduates of our programs are equipped to transform the world, really, from what you see in these pictures and what was not that far removed in the United States even, to what you saw in those initial pictures. And so I think that's a really fulfilling aspect of our program, is that you are making a difference in the world and you can affect society in a very profound way in a large number of people. It's a very, very rewarding discipline, all of our majors. So what degrees do we specifically offer in civil engineering environmental science? We actually offer 4 degrees. The oldest, which has been around since the formation of the College of Engineering in the early 1900s, is civil engineering. It has subdisciplines that I mentioned in the intro of myself. Structural engineering, dealing with all things that help buildings and facilities stand up and withstand forces. Geotechnical engineering, which deals with the earth and its mechanical properties and how you can hold up buildings or excavate tunnels and make things work. Water resources, that's the water supply, the pollution control, water availability, water control for flooding, navigation, all that stuff comes under water resources engineering. And then transportation, typically we think of automobiles, but there's all modes of transportation: rail, bicycles, ports, harbors, all those things. And now We even have to consider things like drones occupying the airspace. Actually, transportation is a very dynamic state right now with all the advances with autonomous vehicles and remote controlled vehicles. The other two engineering degrees in our department are architectural engineering and environmental engineering. Both of these are specializations of the civil engineering degree. In architectural, it's really a building engineering degree, where you learn about all things needed to make a building work. The foundation, the structural, but also the interior plumbing, the power systems, the lighting systems, and then you also have courses in construction management, construction science to how to bring all these pieces together to complete the project. Environmental engineering takes out some of the structural and transportation components of the traditional civil degree and replaces them with more courses on the environment, particularly a lot of the chemistry courses dealing with water chemistry and water quality, but also air quality and solid and hazardous waste. The final degree, the fourth degree in our program, is environmental science, and it seems kind of odd in the College of Engineering at first glance why we have a science degree in there, but they're very complementary, and this was done purposeful back in the 60s to have environmental science as part of our degree offerings. That to address these complex environmental pollution problems, you have to have scientists out there just discovering what are the offending chemicals, how do they behave in the environment, and then engineers can use that knowledge to treat those chemicals and make them more benign and clean up the environment. And so environmental science is really a discovery major, and then environmental engineering is an applied science where you're taking the knowledge and applying it to solve problems. Institutes associated with our department, we have structural institutes, we have water institutes, we have transportation institutes, and these provide a research umbrella, but they also provide tremendous opportunity for students to engage with faculty in meaningful outreach and research projects. And we strongly encourage this across the college to have students get involved as much as possible with extracurricular activities in the form of student competitions, outreach activities, or undergraduate research. And then there's some other drivers that are forcing needs for our graduates. The climate change, there's documented sea level rise, weather patterns are changing, we're getting more intense storms more frequently. This is creating havoc with our cities and the ability of the infrastructure to withstand these events. And so we have to invest and be creative to develop sustainable solutions that can withstand perceived and predicted environmental changes going forward. And of course, there's a broad base of environmental issues, and we have to do all this development and handle the growing number of people in this country and the changing demographics where they're moving more and more to cities, monitoring and prevention techniques. And if we do degrade the environment, we have to go in and restore it and try to keep our environmental quality high. Then the next question will come to mind as you get near your senior year is, where do I work? There's really three broad sectors that employ our graduates. First one is government. A lot of what we do affects society, so it's very heavily regulated and overseen by state and city agencies. And so an example of where students may work is a city engineering department, the county engineering department. At the state level, there's state departments of transportation, there's water development boards, there's the divisions of environmental quality, all employ our graduates to make sure that we do these projects and look out for the benefit of society. And that's what the state's role is, to make sure that we're serving all people. And then even at the national level, there's a great need for our graduates. Environmental Protection Agency, the Corps of Engineers, the Federal Highway Administration, Department of Defense, Department of Energy, they all employ graduates from our department. Outside of government, there's private opportunities. The first one is industry, and these are corporations that generally produce a product, and they employ our graduates. An example, a big industry is in this area of the country is the petrochemical industry. If you look at the infrastructure they have, like any regular societal infrastructure, pipelines, structures, foundations, roads, drainage systems, they have to have civil and environmental engineers on staff to address those issues. So there's many opportunities, and they range from small industry to large, and they can be international in scope as well. Consulting is another big sector that our graduates work in, and this refers to those businesses where graduates who have common expertise, such as geotechnical engineers or transportation engineers, or maybe in general civil engineering, get together and offer their engineering services to any client that wants them that comes in the door. And so these can range in size from just a 1 or 2 person operation. You can start your own business, and a lot of our graduates have done this, to very large corporations like the ou.edu that work on huge projects. They could be any of these large, mega, multi-decadal projects that take years and years of planning, doing the environmental impact assessments, getting the funding, and then building the projects. And so there's a whole scope of activities there. And the nice thing about the consulting world, and I actually consulted for 4 years before I went back to academia for my PhD, is that you get to see projects from end to end. You work with the client on developing the project, you develop the budget, you design it, you put it out for bid, you oversee the construction and make sure it's built according to specifications. And so it's a very rewarding type of profession. There's some non-traditional areas that our degrees will prepare you for. Law or business. The technical expertise you get from our program will give you great background and allow you to work at a high technical level in the legal or business world. A lot of states, including the state of Oklahoma, have alternative certifications for teaching. There's a great need for STEM-related teachers in the K-12 system. Development work, where you're working with non-governmental organizations to address some of those third world problems I illustrated in an earlier slide. Those are very rewarding professions, and there's a number of organizations, but they all are working together to try to address these global issues in development. Well, I thank you for listening to what I've had to say today. I hope in the short time we've had together, conveyed the exciting opportunities that a degree in our profession offers and the need for those people to help serve society and make it a better world. So I do hope you'll sincerely consider one of these majors as a career. There's a need out there. I'd be happy to meet with you and talk to you more specifically about any of the things we addressed today. I'd be happy to exchange some thoughts with you on your decision-making process as you go forward, choosing both a major and a program to pursue that major. So good luck in your endeavors, and it's been nice spending this time.